Je suis un petit poisson qu'on ne peut saisir. Je nage au milieu des baleines et des navires. Je vais vers tout ce qui me plaît, même si ce n'est pas toujours vrai. Je suis un oiseau qui décolle tous les matins pour vivre une journée d'école jusqu'au lendemain. J'aime bien comprendre ce que je fais, même si ce n'est pas toujours vrai. Tous les garçons et les filles de la récré sont des poissons, des oiseaux qui vont s'échapper. Tous les garçons et les filles de la récré ne savent pas encore ce qui va t'arriver. Je suis un petit poisson qu'on ne peut saisir. Je nage au milieu des baleines et des navires. Je vais vers tout ce qui me plaît, même si ce n'est pas toujours vrai.
Good morning, welcome to Fibertown. This is episode 226. It is the 26th of November 2018. I'm Emily. Welcome back to my kitchen. If you have been here before, if you're brand new, welcome. I'm thrilled to have you. It is a very gloomy morning, just after the United States Thanksgiving holiday of Thanksgiving. You may be able to hear Alice having a drink of water in the background. So I'm surrounded, I'm distracted because I'm surrounded by all of these fibery accoutrements. Yes, so let's start talking about what we have on the agenda today. I have a knit-along to talk about. I have one finished object. I have several works in progress. I have spinning and weaving. I have sewing. And I have some travel, chat, as well as acquisitions. So, oh my goodness. Hello, Alice. Ugh. Here, why don't you admire this face while I apologize for the sound quality on last month's video. It was pretty bad. So sorry if you had a hard time hearing that. It was the first time with my new laptop, and gosh, the hair is bad today. And I think I just sort of walked away from it too much, and I wasn't close enough at times, so apologies for that. Now, this podcast is just about as old as this dog, and she is starting to get gray eyebrows. She's as jazzy as ever, though, let me tell you. Right, Alice? Are you jazzy? Okay, so that is a mea culpa, and hopefully you can hear me better today. I'm going to make an effort to be close to the screen so you can see my face a lot. Okay. Oh, sorry. Incredibly distracted. So let's talk about a couple of things. In my podcast Ravelry group, you guys, oh, what is up with my computer? Okay, so I wanted to say thank you to Spiral Blanket, who is Juliet from York, England. She learned to knit when she was a child many years ago, and she has done lots of different fibery crafts, but loves to knit, and she popped into the Ravelry group to say hello, and I'm so glad you did, Juliet. So if you want to shout out like Juliet, please go over to the Fibertown Ravelry group and say hello. Many, many, many of you have already done so over the past 5 or 6 years, so thank you for being part of this little show and for commenting. You know I love that, so I look forward to getting in touch with lots of you. If you are wondering, this is my Birkin out of Tuku wool. This is by Caitlin Hunter, and I've been wearing it a bit, and it's doable. It's been a whole saga if you haven't been listening to, I guess over the past 6 months. It was a saga of a sweater, but I'm enjoying it now. So I did have, the first time I wore it, I had like hives in this area. So So very unpleasant, and I was worried that, I was reacting to tuku wool. I don't react to wool. That's not me. I love wool of all sorts. And, but thankfully, have persevered and it's been okay. It hasn't itched me at all since that first time. So it just kind of goes to show if you have a sensitivity to something, don't write it off the first time. Give it a couple tries. So, I have a pattern giveaway too. And this very kind person, this designer, sent me a pattern this summer to give away as well, and I just flaked on that. I'm sorry. So this is the Visca, excuse me, and she sent me the Penny Purls pattern, and it's in a gorgeous, gorgeous sweater. Let me see. So she would like to give one away. I think I'm going to do it on the YouTube comments. So leave a comment on YouTube, which is now the only place that I post my videos. I still have a blog. I think like 50 people go to that blog sometimes. So not a lot, but I still do post it there. Anyway, leave a comment on this YouTube video and you can win a copy of Penny Purls. It's gorgeous. It's a fingering weight sort of yoke sweater with lovely texture. And it's knit out of a merino silk blend, just about 10% silk. It's really pretty. It'll be very flattering as well. So check it out, Penny Purls. That's pearls like P, like the stitch. And leave a comment. And I don't know, any comment is eligible. You don't have to say anything about the sweater, but if you'd like to, you could go to this designer's Ravelry shop and tell me what pattern really draws you. So this is Penny Purls by Victoria Zachanowich. Hopefully I'll remember to put that on the screen. Okay, or maybe I'll link it. Maybe that's what I'll do. I can do stuff sometimes. Okay, last little piece of business before I show you my first, well, my only FO, and that is to say that I'm going to do a knit along. It's been several months since I have, and this was a knit along I did, I think, winter before last, and it's Handspun Winter. Handspun Winter is back. Winter has come early to the East Coast of the U.S., and there's nothing as satisfying as knitting with handspun. If it's your handspun, if it's someone else's handspun, get your hands on some handspun and knit something. The last time we did this knit along, it was incredibly inspiring. You could go back in the Ravelry group and look, and I did just that, and I said to myself, why didn't I do this last year? I want to do it again. There will be prizes, there will be inspiration, there will be gorgeous handspun projects. So, yeah. As always, the thread will be chatter, planning, questions, works in progress pictures, FO pictures, people asking questions. Any post will count for a prize entry. Post as much as you want. Yeah, so I think we'll start that December 1st. It's not really technically winter, but let's do it like 1st of December to end of February. Alice, did you really want to go outside? I can't believe it. It's raining. She doesn't like to go out in the rain. Interesting. Okay, so I have a massive FO, and it's gorgeous, and it's a bit rumpled because I've been wearing it. This is Tales from the Isle of Purbeck by Annie Rowden. Sorry, Rowden. And I've been wearing it on walks. And it's really gorgeous. It's huge. Can you see it? By the end of it, I really got into, like, I memorized this lace eventually. It took a while. But really, really pretty. I knit this out of, Plotulopi in the Donahue colorway. I used just under 2 plates. And Plotulopi is an unspun Icelandic single. It's kind of a little bit spun. I think people call it unspun, but I feel like there is a tiny bit of twist to it. I could be wrong. I did one of the charts, I think the second to last chart, I repeated half of it like 3 more times because I wanted it bigger and I wanted to use as much of the yarn as I could. So I buckled down like the last 2 weeks, 10 days, and just really finished this, knit the heck out of it. And I love the way Plotulopi feels when it's blocked, and I love the smell of it as I'm knitting with it. It simultaneously smells of lanolin and soap, like a soapy clean smell. Very pleasant. I got that yarn from the Woolly Thistle. Did you guys shop for Black Friday sale? Yes, I did. In fact, it should be coming today. My spoils from her sale. So that is all I've got for FOs. I do have some progress to show you on my Breezy cardigan. This is a cardigan by Hannah Fettig. I think this is about a year-old work in progress. And that's partially because, well, it's mainly because, let's be real, it's knit out of lace weight yarn. This is St. Kilda by Blacker. And I have put some steeks into it. So the other reason it's taking so long is because it's got waterfall fronts. So there's my first steek. And it really only needed 1 steek, but no, you needed 2 steeks, sorry. I've talked about this in previous episodes. I will talk about it more once I finish it. But I finished the body. I've got about 13 inches from the armhole to the ribbing, and I'm simultaneously working on a sleeve, on my treasured 12-inch circulars for sleeves, and ribbing on the bottom. So I can switch between whatever I feel like doing. So yeah, I really hope I have enough yarn. I have to do 2 sleeves, the bottom ribbing, which I don't think should take much yarn, and then a pretty wide ribbing band around the neckline. Fingers crossed. It's one of my favorite yarns. And I tried it on, and I think it's going to look great. I think it's going to look fabulous. Very useful garment. I have a Breezy already that's quite old, maybe 7 years old. Still wear the heck out of it. Righty. So, my other work in progress is the ugliest pair of socks I think I've ever knit. This was ironically a gift from my husband, this ball of yarn, for, was it last Christmas? Christmas before. And it's seriously ugly. This part right here, it's a Regia. This part right here just looks like the California flag to me, doesn't it? With the bear and the red and the white. Anyway, is there a tree on that flag? Maybe, for the green. There's the second one. I'm just giggling the whole time I knit these about how ugly they really are. So I'm keeping this project in a bag I made out of some botanically printed wool felt. I made this. And I made several of these for friends. And I used Osnaburg lining. Where's the embroidery? Oh, and I did a little embroidery on there for a little inside joke. I think Lori of Intuit Knit sent me this wool. So, thank you, Lori. Ooh, it's really raining now. I think that's it. Oh, no, that is not it for my works in progress. My hand spun project is next. And that is the Rocaine by Christine. Okay, it's out of this pom-pom. Danae, Christine Danae, or Christina, I cannot recall. So, here it is. There is, oh, this is, really giving me some trouble here. This is out of, in my Matter Moon bag. Really enjoy this bag. Matter Root bag, sorry. There it is. It's super gorgeous, textury. I really love it. It's much prettier in real life, I feel like. So it's knit flat. The front is knit flat. Sorry, you start in the round with a provisional cast on, and I have monkeyed with this a bit. The pattern has you cast on provisionally above the ribbing and then knit the plain and then knit the texture. I provisionally cast on, where did I provisionally cast on? I guess I provisionally cast on right here, and then I knit the bodice. And then I started knitting down. So there's the back. The bodice pieces are knit flat and then seamed at the shoulders. I did a 3-needle bind off. Now, I'm ready to start the ribbing technically, and it's a lot of ribbing. I think it's like 7 inches. But I think I need to soak it, put it on waste yarn, soak it, and try it on. Because I tried it on just with 2 needles, and I think it's too tight under my rib cage. And there was a significant difference in my gauge when I started knitting in the round. Now, I did eventually go up a needle size, and I like it much more, but I didn't do that soon enough. So before I rip out all the stockinette, I'm going to soak it and see how it is. Yeah, so the sleeves, I believe, are just picked up around this pretty wide sleeve side, arm side. And I'm super enjoying knitting this. I'm using, I'm alternating skeins of my hand spun. Using helical stripes. Sorry, helical stripes, where you knit around and then 3 stitches before, you knit around in with one skein, and 3 stitches before you come to that sort of join, you slip those 3 stitches, and then you start knitting with the next skein. Google it. It's really, I think Carol Feller may have been the inventor of this, as Elizabeth Zimmerman says. Yeah, so the yarn. This is what I'll be knitting for Handspun Winter. Oh, by the way, Handspun Winter, if you have a work in progress, knit on that. This is my Hog Island 2-ply. Started as a fleece. Very special yarn, and I've talked a lot about Hog Island in the past. I will talk about it more in a future episode. I've also talked about this particular fleece project. So, yeah. I don't want to talk too much about it right now because I have a lot to talk about. So let's crack on with spinning. Oh, wait, I did forget one other thing. I made a swatch. This was a treat to myself in, shall I say, crushing hours of airport waiting boredom. This is the shade card for Nightshades from Harrisville Design. And I took the yarn off and swatched it. And it's probably pretty difficult to tell. Oh, it's not too bad. Did I show this last time? No, I didn't. So yeah, there we go. I did put some knots. Did I put some knots? I did not put some knots. I took a picture of myself swatching with the needles, the particular needle, and it's a color-coded needle, so I'll be able to remember which size I used by looking at that picture. Normally, I like to tie knots in the tail to designate what kind of needle size I used, or do yarn over knit 2 togethers in the swatch, but there's just not enough. This is all the colors starting from the bottom to the top of the color card. So I really like Cinder, this sort of reddish one. I also like some of the purpley blues. I'm not a fan of the green and the yellow. And I do like the marled with white too. I think that one is static. Talk more about this yarn and acquisitions. Now I can talk to you about spinning and weaving. So weaving, I have one of these going. This is yogurt plus Gotland lamb, hand spun, dyed with marigolds and goldenrod. It's on the loom. It's incredibly sticky and not fun to weave. So there's not a lot to be woven. with that project, so I just need to sit down and do it. I've been away from the loom so much that just starting really, I started feeling it in some muscles that I don't usually use, my weaving muscles. And so I haven't been back to the loom. I've just been very distracted with other projects as well. Like this. This is my fin sheet fleece spin. This is all woolen spun. 7 ounces. And this is all worsted spun. See how shiny it is compared to that? So I've got maybe 4 more ounces to spin, and then I don't think I'm going to have enough for a 3-ply sweater quantity. So I had kind of hoped to knit baby cables and big ones too out of this fleece, but I don't think it's going to happen. So before I ply, I'm going to have to do some estimating and decide if I want to do a 2-ply or 3-ply, although I think I'm kind of committed to a 3-ply now because I have done a portion of it as worsted prep and worsted spinning. And I don't have enough of that to go into a 2-ply. And the fleece is all processed, so that's exciting. I really haven't done any other fleece washing or carding or combing. Although I did have some comments on my last video that people would like to see a tutorial on fleece washing. Now, when we did Fleecewise with a group of friends, we did talk about fleece washing. And I'm trying to think. I think it was Sarah Pomegranate of Yarns at Ian Hu. I think she covered fleece washing. I think Sarah. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I hope I'm not wrong. That was audio. So maybe I will at some point the next time I wash some fleece, and I do have 2 to be washed. Maybe at that point I will time-lapse video it. I don't know. It's not going to be a tutorial. It would just be like how I do it. And have you heard of the Yule Cat legend? I've only heard this. I haven't read it in any reputable source. I don't remember where I heard it. I think it was a podcast. And beware what you hear on podcasts. It may not be the truth. However, this is a Norse or Scandinavian legend that sort of behooves people to wash their fleeces before Yule, the holiday of Yule. If you don't, it is said that the Yule Cat will come and, I don't know, attack your home, bother your settlement. So I think it's just, it exhorts you to get your fleece washed before the really bad winter weather sets in, and potentially it's not going to dry, because it's very damp. So I'm like, do I want to risk the Yule Cat's wrath by leaving these 2 fleeces unwashed before Yule? I don't know. The weather has not been great for drying fleece. You can absolutely dry it inside. I prefer to dry it in the sun. It just is more reliable. This hair is bothering me. So maybe at that point, I will do some video. Okay, so sewing. Let's talk about sewing. I put snaps on my tamarack jacket. I showed this off last time. I'm very proud of my snaps. It was a learning experience, and I love those. But I did a fabulous job putting the snaps on. Yes, I did. I've been wearing the heck out of this jacket. And I'm kind of regretting putting cotton lining in it. I think that for the cold we've had, wool lining would have been preferable. But it should be a good transitional piece as well. So I don't know if I talked about how much trouble I had getting the lining to be trapped by the binding, just because when I quilted these pieces, oh my gosh, my hair. When I quilted these pieces, everything slipped around and it just didn't go well. So I I have been doing mending bit by bit. And what I decided to do was do some sort of visible, only to me, embroidery, because it's on the inside. And I've put in some of my spirit animals. From the medicine wheel. I'm not going to go in too much in depth, but let me show you. This one is the salmon. And I basically freehanded this and then did sort of a chain stitch. You can see I have blanket stitch here, and I've done a really terrible looking raven on the other cuff. The raven is my north, the animal in my north. And I have a few more places where I need to put some other animals, but these are sort of my totems, a couple of them. So I really like the idea of having sort of talismans sewn into this. So I will continue to do mending as the urge takes me. I did also make, and this is very rumpled and from the wash, another Mandy boat tee. Oh gosh, it looks terrible. Out of this gorgeous herringbone terry. And I put a label on the back of this one. This is incredibly cozy, sort of pajama wear, really. You could wear this out, but I am really enjoying these Mandy boat tees. I have 3 now. What else can I show you? So I do have, I'm going to show you my sewing work in progress, but let me show you my other, piece of fabric that is also a herringbone terry. And this is black. I got this from Stitch Sew Shop in Alexandria, Virginia. And the thing I'm going to make out of this is the Morris blazer. You could make this with a stable knit or medium weight woven fabric with a bit of stretch. So I tried one of these on in my travels, my recent travels, and I loved it. I loved it. These points right here are I find incredibly flattering. So I'm very excited to make this out of this. Now, the thing I've been working on, sorry about that. When you don't podcast often enough, at least for me, I find myself just really squirrely and less polished than I should be. But if you're still here and you can handle me fussing with my hair, probably for the last 5-ish years, then it's probably okay with you. So I started making the ginger jeans. How hard could they be, right? I've made pants with varying degrees of success. Now, I spent most of my day yesterday working on the fronts. And it really was not hard, but, and I had worked previous days sort of cutting out, and I under-ordered my denim for this. Got it from Blackbird Fabric, and it calls for a stretch denim, and I got 2 meters. I should have gotten 2.5. 2 meters, I think, is about 2 1/4 yards. I needed 2.5 yards. I eked out what I needed, but I'm worried that I mismeasured the grain line on the left front piece, because when I made my mock-up, I basted it together, the left leg was twisting. So I had actually modified the legs to be I'm making View B, which is the high waist but skinny leg. I really don't like a skinny leg. I wanted the stovepipe leg. So I made it a stovepipe leg, but then I was worried that by doing that, I had caused the twisting. So after the mock-up, I had taken it all apart. I recut the legs to just be the skinny jeans in the hopes that it would be okay. So we'll see. I don't know. I also had to put 4 darts into the waistband because of the significant difference between my waist size and my hip size. I've been calling it a sway back, but I think it's just a difference in measurements in two parts of my body that makes the waistband gape in the back. So I did make the adjustments there and it looks much better. I didn't make any like crotch length adjustments because I feel like with this stretch denim, it'll be okay. It's very forgiving. This is the denim that Heather Lou, the designer from Closet Case Patterns, recommends. This S jean stretch denim. And it is dyed with indigo, and I think it's from a cone mill. And as I've been stitching on some of the pockets, I have gotten blue fingers. So before I washed it, and even now it does smell like indigo dye. Like if you've ever done an indigo vat, it smells like the mixture of chemicals that goes into that. All right, so she has a really good sew along, but even with the sew along, I couldn't figure out how to do these pocket facings. So I went online and I used a tutorial from the Curvy Sewing Collective. I don't know why I'm so froggy, sorry. And yeah, it was much more easy to understand for me. So I'm actually using two machines. I have two machines. One is mine proper, one is my mother's. And her machine has been at my house for years. She doesn't sew. So, so I have regular thread in her machine and I have my top stitching thread in my machine. So that I don't have to change the thread constantly, and the top stitching thread just goes on the top and the regular thread in the bobbin. And I have an overcast foot on the machine with the regular thread, only regular thread, as well as the zipper foot. You know, I change out the foots on that machine and just do the top stitching on my other machine. So that is a big, I think a big plus if you're making jeans. So there's the pocket facing, and what happens is that, you know, when you put your hand in the pocket, you have the right side there, but when you look inside your jeans, you also have the right side. So it's two pieces. And I just sort of did an overcast stitch on the bottom, if you can see that. The fly construction is super, super cool. So there's my fly, I'll put in a little top stitching. Very, very happy with that so far. My bar tacks are not great, but that's okay. Done is better than perfect is my motto. So I have the front done, and I just need to get the back done before I can start putting the back together and then putting the whole thing together and then making the back yoke and the waistband. I need to finish the embroidery on this pocket. Done the first one, and this one is going to be so much better than this one. I don't know. I would also like to put an evil eye somewhere in these jeans, maybe on the waistband. I'm very into putting embroidered symbols into my work lately. So this is a sashiko pattern from this book, recommended to me by Fibertrack Sarah. Jessica Marquez, Make and Mend. It's a little book. It is a little and mighty book. I've seen recently sort of big books about mending. I think this is better. There's the, oops, that's not it. The hemp leaf. It symbolizes strength and good health. I'm all for that. So this also has, you know, your jeans mending stitches and really cool projects. So I'm a fan of that book. Yeah, so I need to do sort of these zigzag lines right here that I've marked in chalk, and then I do a couple of horizontal lines, and then I'll be done. Then I can put my back together. Can't believe the frogginess. I'm so sorry. Okay, so just acquisitions and some retreat chat. This year, our group of friends went to Maine. I had never been to Maine, so I got to cross another state off my list. There were sadly only 3 of us because Corrine had some stuff come up at the last minute. We missed her. So, yeah, but we made the best of it. We did a farm stay at Toddy Pond Farm in Monroe, Maine. And let's see, we came on a Thursday and left on a Sunday, and the farmhouse where we stayed was amazing. There were porch sheep, including sort of the leader sheep. She was the boss for sure. And she was she must have been a bottle lamb, Lola, because she was just so friendly and liked people. And she would come and look in our kitchen door. It was just a glass door, and so we had some amazing time there, and amazing photos with Lola. I will put some in the beginning. We had really changeable weather, amazing sunrises, which I saw every day because I wake up at the sunrise now. And amazing sunsets and sort of some snow showers, and we walked down to the pond, which is more of a lake, as Sarah Pomegranate said in her recent episode of Yarns at Yin-Hoo. I was able to come away with some rocks, which I use as pattern weights, and I have some from our last year retreat in New York State that I use as pattern weights. So my aim is to add to my pattern weight collection every retreat. That's a pretty one. So I try to find mostly flat rocks. So I have 4 new ones. We try to keep it simple, just we don't make a lot of plans on these retreats. We like to sit around and eat and drink and stitch. And one requirement is that we have an indoor fire in wherever we stay. So we had a wood stove, and we had a delightful fondue meal and other amazing meals. But those wood stoves, if you don't have a fondue pot, you just put it right on top of the wood stove. So we also like to sort of teach each other things if possible. And this year I really didn't have anything to teach people, but I did bring people pants, homemade pants that didn't fit me. And I was able to give some pants away. That was fun. Sarah Pomegranate learned some Alabama Channon stenciling and stitching, and mostly with the help of Fiber Track. But who is like a guru of this now? I have done a little bit of it, and I will not rule out doing more in the future. But Sarah, Fiber Track Sarah, so many Sarahs, also got us into stitching felt ornaments. I just need to apply some ribbon to this, and this is a felt ornament for my tree. I did star stitches. Aren't they cute? And that is also from this book. The thread was dyed with turmeric it was from a friend of hers. And she does the blanket stitch so that this portion right here lays along the seam. I did mine differently, unintentionally, but I want to do more of these. You just can cut. They're simple to do. Stuffed it with some fin wool that was combing waste, because I did comb a bunch of my fin there. Excuse me. But I really like how this came out. Sarah does beads and buttons and amazing sort of stitch work on hers, so I need to try to copy some of that in the future. So we did do an outing one day. We went to Rockland, Maine. We had a lovely lunch, and we had an amazing trip to Clementine's in Rocklands. Go and check out her online store. Her brick and mortar, I don't know what her online store is like, but her brick and mortar is so well curated and just so good. It is just so good. And I know she sells wool felt by the piece. I don't know if it's on her website, but I bet. Oh gosh, what's her name? Is it Leah? Oh gosh. I should have written this down. Yeah, so I did buy fabric there, but I left it in my stash. I bought 2 pieces. Oh, and I bought a skein of yarn. And this skein of yarn I actually unskeined it and wore it as a cowl most of the weekend. This is Wool Wife from Bybrook Farm. This is a Romney farmed and spun in Maine, 100% wool, by Starcroft. Clementine stocks this, as well as other Starcroft wools that are amazing, amazing. This is going to be a hat, I do believe. Just gorgeous. So, yeah, shoot, I bought fabric. You'll see it when I make it into stuff. I bought a jersey, and I'm going to make into an ebony dress, and I bought some quilting cotton, sort of with celestial theme that I really love, that will be a lining of something someday. Other things I bought and received in Maine. Let me show you. This adorable notebook, as well as this amazing Madder Root bag from Fibertrack. Wool Scouts. She runs retreats that are to die for. Oh, I also went to One Lupin, and that is in Bangor, Maine. Sarah Pomegranate and I arrived early and took ourselves into Bangor, and I got, what did I get there? I got a mug. Oh gosh, and some ribbon. Really love that. One Lupin is a gorgeous store. One side of it is a yarn store, and the other side is things that are made in Maine, handmade usually, and they're garments, jewelry, pottery. I got some things for my mother's birthday. She is about to turn 70. Where are they? Uh-oh. Okay, so little German Christmas tree ornament that's in here. This, I believe, is made in Pennsylvania, actually. Chickahisa Studio. Is that all I got at One Lupin? I think so. What else? Also at Clementine, I got this. It is a lighted needle threader, very, very handy, as well as a sewing machine brush, which has already got thread on it, lovely. So I did get some pottery at Toddy Pond Farm. They had a farm shop with really good prices. I got this and a pie plate that matches it. This is a little cream jug. I got some salve and some tincture that I was able to bring back on the plane, thankfully. I was a little worried that wouldn't make it back. Sarah Pomegranate also made me a forager vest. This is a pattern from Taproot magazine. Look, it has little notions fabric in the pockets. I really need to wear this while I'm sewing and just keep all my chalk and seam ripper and scissors and little notions in these pockets. It's beautifully bound, and I really love this touch right here, this hook, so you can hang it up when you're done collecting your tomatoes in the garden or your eggs from your chickens. So, other things that I have acquired that are not from that trip. Zauberball Crazy, because all I want to knit is this when I'm knitting socks. I just want to knit them out of Zauberball Crazy. So I'm going with it. And I did pick up a Nightshades at Looped Yarnworks in DC. This is the dashboard colorway. So it's a bluey purple marl in there. It's a DK Cormo blend. Yeah, it's Cormo blended with other wool. And then this, which I'm kind of at a loss to explain other than I think I'm going to knit a gift out of it. This is Illimani. I think it's a Canadian brand, but this is Silk Alpaca Merino. So, made in Peru. It's a Canadian brand, I think. This is the Amélie base, and it is a chainette tube. So I think it'll be super warm. Lovely for somebody. I also acquired this book, Breaking the Pattern by Named Clothing. I've made two patterns by named, the kilo dress and the Nini culottes. And I love those two pieces. And I don't know what I think of this book, actually. They're very fond of slits in odd places and things that wrap around. So I think in my first glance, that was my impression. And like this. Now look, you've got a weird wrap in the back and a slit down the sleeve. Now, obviously, you could omit the slit in the sleeve. That'd be kind of interesting. And then there are some classics too. And I think, you know, you could modify each design to be more classic or more trendy. So I need to sit down with this book. It's still got the wrapper on it and sort of see what I think a little more in depth. That is all for now. I need to go and stitch on my pocket and go to work this afternoon. And yeah, it's been a busy time. My husband has been in Spain with his mother and settling legal stuff over there after his father passed. So it's been me doing a lot more than I usually do around here. So I'm really glad that I had the chance to sit down with all of you and show and tell. This is just my show and tell, really. And I hope you had fun while you were here. And take care till next time.